everybody, I'm Nicole if you're new, and if you're not new, hey boo. So in this video, I'm gonna go over my labor/delivery story time with you guys. And it was a very traumatic experience for me. I had an emergency C-section and I was in labor for 24 hours, you guys. So yeah, your girl has a story time for you guys. Today I have a healthy, beautiful baby boy. He's 10 months currently right now, and he's the love of my life, period. But like I said, I'm going to tell you guys about my experience in hopes that this will be helpful for another girl who, you know, just so happens to have an emergency C-section, or who has had one and didn't know how to cope with it, or didn't know what to do, or felt some type of way and felt like they were alone. So hopefully this video does help another girl out. So let me go back and rewind to the night I realized I'm in labor. So you guys, and I remember this like it was yesterday, but it's been a minute, you guys. Obviously, if you look back, I haven't posted a video in a minute. So let's go back to the night I realized that I was in labor. So you guys, I wake up in the middle of the night, and when you're in your third trimester, it's very hard to sleep. So I was used to waking up in the middle of the night, tossing and turning or whatever. So I'm thinking nothing of it, right? You guys, I wake up and I'm like in pain, but then it goes away, and then it comes back, and then it goes away, and I'm like, wait, hold up. Like, nah. It's very true when they say a pregnant woman knows when she's in labor, because I just knew, like, okay, this is the time I'm in labor. I need to call my mom. I need to tell my man, wake up. I need to go to the hospital, because I feel like I'm in labor. So anyways, I'm literally on the toilet, and that was a nice relief for me, just sitting on the toilet. I don't know why, but every time I would, I'd be like, all right. But then I'd get up, and then I have a contraction, and I'm like, okay, no, I need to go to the hospital. Mind you, you guys, I had just went to the hospital a week before the night that I was in labor, and nothing was going on. I wasn't dilated. That night that I was like, okay, I'm in labor, I woke up my boyfriend and was like, listen, it's time, right now, get up. And mind you, he had work at 5, 6 in the morning, and I'm just like, no, you gotta call out, it's time. We go to the hospital, you guys. I find out I'm almost too dilated. So I find out I'm almost too dilated, and I turn to my boyfriend. I'm like, oh my God, this is the moment we've been waiting for, you guys. Third trimester, you are swollen, you're tired, you're waddling, and you're very uncomfortable. So I'm but I'm also very nervous, right? So I call my mom, because the two people that I wanted in my labor and delivery experience in my room was my mom and my boyfriend. Call my mom, hey, it's time. So I find out I'm dilated by 2, you guys, and I'm all right, mind you, it's my first baby. I've never been through this before, so I'm just thinking okay, it's gonna go to 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So the nurse that checked me, she's like, okay, let's just wait it out. I'm gonna call your doctor and see what she wants to do, because she was looking at the monitor, right? And it's monitoring my heart rate and my baby's heart rate. Mind you, I was nervous already. And so she leaves, she comes back, and she's like, well, you're dilated at 2. Then she checks the monitor, and she's basically saying my baby's heart rate was not consistent. And that scared me. So I'm like, well, what the heck? So she's like, well, I'm gonna double check with your doctor, with your OB, and see what she wants to do, right? So my OB decided that, to keep me there because the heart rate wasn't consistent. But at the same time, you guys, I want to say 1, 2, 3, I had at least 3 nurses that I could really remember trying to check my cervix, and only one of the nurses was really kind and gentle and nice. The other 2 kind of seemed like they were still semi-new, and they were just doing a job, which, okay, cool, you're doing your job, but I feel like if you're a nurse, you want to be gentle and polite, especially with a pregnant woman. All 3 of them tried to check my cervix, and before I even got into labor, before I knew before I even got in my 3rd trimester, I was like, I don't want to be checked as often, because I know you can get an infection if too many nurses or doctors, or if you get your cervix checked too many times, you can get an infection, and I didn't want that for me. So plus it was uncomfortable. Like I said, that one nurse is very gentle, and then the other two were like trying to rough me up. And I was just like, okay, you know, I'm a little feisty or whatever. So I told the nurses who were like not interested to like, all right, like, can you get the other nurse because you're a little too rough, you know? And so she did, and I can tell she had a little attitude. Mind you, this is before I got in the room and before she told me my doctor told me to stay. So I'm not quite sure what she said to my doctor, but I end up staying in this room. So y'all, I'm waiting in the room they like put me in, and I'm like super excited, but I'm like super nervous as well. I call my mom again, and she like finally comes in, and we're just chilling. And I believe one nurse checked me, and you guys, I still wasn't like dilating like as quickly as I thought I would. And I didn't realize how long I was in labor in that room in general until the nurses started switching out their shifts. And I'm just like, well, like, okay, like, bye, like, whatever, new nurse comes in. But looking back now, I was in that room for a long time. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I was in labor for 24 hours. So when I first got in there, and the first nurse that I got, she was super cool, super nice. And you know, she didn't bother me as much, but she did check on me occasionally, and she was just really cool. So when she left and was like, hey, like, my shift is over, she introduced me to the other nurse. And this nurse came in, y'all, like she was in a rush and she was in a hurry, which, like, now that I think about it, it's like probably because I was in labor for so long. And she was in a rush, it felt like, and she was like, okay, turn to the side, and was trying to push me over, and come on, let's go. And I'm looking at her like, what the? Mind you, I'm in pain, right? So I look over to my mom, and I'm like, are you gonna say something? Like, say something to this lady, like, because I'm in pain. And if I say something, if I could, I don't think I could even say anything. That's how in pain I was. You know, like, if I say something, I'm gonna go off. But so my mom ended up saying something to her like, hey, are you in a rush? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, because it seems like you're like being too pushy, whatever was said. So after that incident or whatever, like, it was okay, you know, like, she was cool or whatever. And I don't know, like, maybe she heard I was in labor for so long and she just wanted to get the ball rolling. I don't know, but it was okay. I still was in some type of pain, and it wasn't like unbearable, like, oh my god, like I'm yelling, but I felt some pain. And so I said something, and they like, you know, immediately offered me epidural. And I was like, okay, cool, because I didn't know like the back end of epidural, like too much information about it. Knowing what I know now though about epidural, I probably would have waited, because technically you're not at an active labor until you hit a 6, until you're dilated at a 6. Then maybe I would have like gotten an epidural, but I was like a 2. So anyways, they offered the epidural to me, and I was like, yeah, like, of course, like, whatever, I don't know, you guys. So I got the epidural, and I honestly feel like the person who did it was like a student aide, because it was 2 people who came in. So I feel like he was working under someone, like they have that. And like, future reference, you guys, if you're a first-time mom or you're just not as comfortable with too many like people coming in, let your doctor and your OB know, your nurses, like, hey, I don't want any student nurses, I don't want any student anything. Like, I want people who have been in this profession for a while. And I didn't know that was gonna happen with me, but I now know. And for my first time having a child, I would not have a student. So I say that to say, he puts the epidural in me. I was fine for a little bit, but you guys, the epidural wore off. And then I felt like some type of pain again. I'm just like, hold up, I don't think it's been that long. Like, is this not working? Is it wearing off? I didn't know, right? So he comes back in and put more in. And so now I'm just chilling, you guys, and I'm just talking, chopping it up. And then now, I don't even know how many hours later, you guys, because I was not trying to keep track. I was just trying to be like, all right, like, I'm having this baby. But I was at a 3 or 4. I was at a 3. And then I remember when the nurse came back to check me, she's like, you're at a 3, you're almost at a 4, I can like kind of push you to a 4. And she literally like pushed me to a 4. And it was a little painful, not that bad, because I still had that epidural. The epidural was still working at this time. So then I'm just chilling, and again, I'm still at like a 4, you guys. Like, I'm chilling at a 4. And so they spoke to me about Pitocin. and I've never heard of this like medicine before. It's not good for you, like, and all this stuff like that. And it's very painful. It is very painful, you guys. But before I got Pitocin, I've never heard about it, and then I got it, and then I was like, okay, I feel it, right? That's how I know the epidural wasn't working like how it's supposed to, but it is what it is. And then I was still waiting, you guys. The lady comes back, the nurse comes back and checks on me, and she's like, you're still out of 4. And she's like, do you want me to break your water? Is that okay? Knowing what I know now, I would have said no, but I was like, okay, like, you know, because my water had not broken. I was in labor, but my water had not broken. And so she broke my water, nothing came out, you guys. So drink your water, or I don't even know the science behind that. Like, but drink your water while you're pregnant. I don't know why, like, she broke my water supposedly, and literally nothing came out. Probably 20 minutes later, I don't even know, but like, my baby was in distress. Like, his heart rate was going really, really low, like scary low, as what my boyfriend told me, because I wouldn't even try to look at the monitor, like, because I was already nervous. So then my heart rate is like, you know, racing, and I'm not calm and all this stuff like that. And so they were coming and rushing. The baby didn't like me in one position, so they switched me to another one. They gave me like a peanut thing to put between my legs, a peanut ball. And it worked a little bit. Like, we tried different positions, but I felt like it was rushed, and I did honestly stay in the bed the whole time. And I feel like I should have been walking around, like, you know, to get the baby down, or get him like, come on, let's go, it's time to come out. But I stayed in the bed the whole time, and I was induced basically. She broke my water. I was given Pitocin. I was given epidural pretty early on, twice. Like, they'd up it and then lower the epidural and lower the, not epidural, they lowered the Pitocin, like, and I just feel like my baby wasn't like ready to come out. And I think that's why he was like, you know, being a little stubborn, and it caused my baby to have distress, like, in his heart rate. So then, you guys, after a while, like I said, I wasn't keeping track of the time, but I know it was like a while, because all of that had to take some type of time. My doctor, my OB comes in, and she's like, you know, she had a conversation with me, and she's like, you know, after all the years that I've been in this profession, I've never seen this happen. And I'm looking at her like, ma'am, like, I know you've been in this profession for a while, so what do you mean you've never, like, you've had to have seen something. Like, I'm sure every profession has seen something go wrong, and then they fix it or whatever. So by her saying that, you guys, I was like scared. I'm not even gonna front. Like, I'm like, okay, like, what do you mean? Like, what are you seeing? Like, right? So she came to me about a C-section, and she's like, you know, his heart rate is going down, so this is what I think we should do. Mind you, this has never happened to me. I'm a first-time mom, obviously, like, so I was scared, you guys. And before she said anything, the nurse that I told you guys before, who like caught an attitude, she actually was like, hey, you can have a C-section, or, you know, this is the pros and cons of it, whatever. And I told her no, because my whole game plan was I wanted to have my baby vaginal. But when my doctor came in and spoke to me about it towards the end, because I was like in labor for 24 hours, you know, later on I found that out. I was kind of like, okay, if the doctor is saying this, and she's saying she's never had this happen or seen this or whatever, then okay, like, I need to get my baby out. I don't know what's going on, but I need to make sure he's okay. I'd rather have him in my arms and healthy. So then I signed these papers, and they wheel me into this emergency room, like, or into the surgery room where they do the C-section. And I'm like on this tip, you guys, it felt like a freaking movie. And my boyfriend was with me, my child's father, and they have you like on this like table, and your arms are flat out, and it's cold, it's super cold. Oh my god, so traumatic. I remember this like it was yesterday. But anyways, it was super cold, and I remember like a few doctors or whoever, like nurses, and I really truly feel like even my OB, I feel like she even had like a student nurse, student doctor with her, or someone who wasn't, you know, really skilled, like they were still learning. Which takes me back to the person who did my epidural. If I would have known that I would have had a student nurse student anesthesia guy, then I'd be like, no. But anyways, my doctor was right next to her, and I can hear her like you know, telling her and helping her, and they were working on me together. But you guys, I started feeling pain. I was just like, okay, like I still feel this, like I know I'm not supposed to be feeling nothing. I got the epidural twice, like it should have been working. And I'm like, I feel it. And I'm looking at my boyfriend like, I feel it, you need to say something, like I feel it. And he's like, hey, like panicking. I'm sure he feels like this experience was also traumatic for him as well. So the person behind me was an anesthesia guy, and he wasn't the original person who gave me the epidural before. It was a whole nother person. He seemed like he knew what he was doing, you know? So my boyfriend is telling the doctor, but they're working. So he tells the guy behind me like, hey, she feels this, like, you know, like we need to do something. So the anesthesia guy turns to my boyfriend. He's like, I'm gonna give her something. Y'all don't remember. I was so under a whole bunch of medicine, but I remember him saying like, I don't want her to be traumatized, so I'm gonna give her this. You guys, I started talking to my man once he gave me whatever he gave me in my body, y'all. And as I'm talking to him, I guess I dozed off and went to bed, or I don't even know, because I ended up waking up in a recovery room. And I'm looking up, and then like I swear this is like a movie, like it's like foggy. I'm like, what the? I'm looking around, it's like curtains on the side of me, and then my boyfriend right here, and he wakes me up, or I wake up, and he's like all in my face, and he shows me his phone like, oh, here's our baby, like look at, you know. And I'm just like, where's my mom, where's my baby? Like, you know, it was very traumatic for me. This was a very traumatic experience for me. Because like I said, I'm a super planner, and this was not in the plans, but I made that sacrifice to be like, okay, I need my baby out. I don't know what's going on. This doctor is telling me this. I need my baby in my arms. But yeah, it still was very traumatic for me. So then as I'm waking up, the same nurse that, you know, kind of caught an attitude with me, she was there. And I remember like giving her a hug, which is the funniest thing, because I was kind of like snapping on her or whatever. It's not snapping on her, but I was telling my mom to like tell her something about rushing me, or, you know, rushing me to get in a different position. And she thought it was the funniest thing. Like, she's like, she's not gonna remember this. She's telling this to my boyfriend. She's not gonna remember this. Tell her when she wakes up that she gave me a hug, which is funny. I do remember it, but I was just thankful that I woke up, you guys, because I've seen, although I didn't plan for a C-section, I did see and know about C-sections a little bit, which I know that you're awake most of the time that you're having a C-section, and I wasn't awake, but I think I would have panicked more if I was. So I don't know. After I went out of that recovery room, they wheeled me to a room that was my recovery room. So, you know, I was gonna stay there for a few days. You know, they told me my baby was in the NICU, you guys. I was so freaking sad. I cried, y'all. Like, I cried before everything. Like, when the doctor told me she feels like I should have an emergency C-section, y'all, I prayed to God, and then I cried. And so yes, my baby had to go to the NICU because according to my boyfriend, when they took him out of me, his head was like shaped to a cone. So I'm thinking he got stuck in me, like, right? He got stuck. He didn't cry right away, you guys. This is so scary, but he didn't cry right away to what my boyfriend told me, and they had to, like, you know, help him cry and stuff like that. And he was in the NICU, and they had to monitor him, his breathing, and then they had to monitor him like feeding and stuff like that, and why he was in such distress. But it's probably because I've done some research, it's probably because of all that medicine that they gave me, and also he got stuck, you know. At the end of the day, my baby probably was not ready to come out. You know, we were forcing my baby to come out. It caused my baby to come out earlier than he wanted to, and to have him in the NICU for a couple of days, and to have me have an emergency C-section. So I did really want to make this video. I know it's been like 10 months, but I really wanted to make this video just for a girl who is pregnant, or someone who's planning for a vaginal birth. just do your research and know your facts, because sometimes you don't need all that medicine. I don't think my body handled it, me or my baby, because we both, our heart rates were both like up and down. So yeah, my baby was in NICU for like 2 or 3 days, something like that. Yeah. And when I was in the recovery room, I remember my nurses were all super nice in the recovery room that I was in for a few days, because after you have a C-section, you're there for a few days. And they were like, you need to walk, because, you know, you'll recover quicker. You know, it'll help you and make you feel good. That day, I walked to the NICU to do chest to chest for my baby, because I had planned to breastfeed my baby, okay? And we're still going strong. My baby's 10 months, and I'm just now like weaning him off of my breast or whatever. But yeah, like I wanted to breastfeed my baby, and so I was really upset about that too, because I'm like, okay, if he's in the NICU, how am I gonna do that? And so I cried about that, which is fine, because like the hormones after you have a baby. And so I went down that night, and I held my baby, y'all, and I did chest to chest, and the next day he was off the breathing tube, and then the next day after that he was off the feeding tube. Like he had no tubes after a couple days, and I believe, I want to say he was there for an extra day, I don't know, because one of those days I was there, he was with us overnight in the whole day, and then we went home, and I was there for like 3 or 4 days. I was there for like 4 days, something like that. Man, that was a whole blur. You guys, I don't do any type of anything. I don't even drink, and it's been like since 2018. Like, so you know, it was a lot for me. But yeah, my baby, when he was born, he was 5 pounds 10 ounces, which I feel like is very normal. The doctor said it's normal, because I was a smaller baby, and my boyfriend also was a smaller baby. Like, we're not big people, so our baby like kind of landed between us, because I think my boyfriend was over 6 pounds, something like that, he told me, and then I was like the same, or he was just under 6 pounds, something like that. So our baby was similar in weight with us, and he's completely healthy, thank you God. I prayed for that. I said, you know, if I have to do this emergency section, I just want my baby healthy. I want my baby here and healthy, and it's not in the plans, but if it's in your plans, God, then it is what it is. And I'm a true believer, a little feisty believer, but I'm a true believer. So I'm very grateful for my baby. That's my love of my life. And yeah, so I do want to speak about the recovery. The recovery was very painful the first couple days, but after that, the walking does help, and my boyfriend was a big help. You know, he helped me with everything from showering, from getting out of bed, literally everything. He visited our baby every day that he was in the NICU. Our baby was in there for 2 to 3 days. And so yeah, recovery, definitely walk around, put a pillow on your incision, and that helps a lot. But you got to force your body to recover quicker, and that means you have to walk around even if it's painful. But all in all, I say all of this to say, like, even if you're a lady who's pregnant right now and you plan on having a vaginal birth, prepare for anything. Although someone told me that, I couldn't prepare for something like this, especially like, you know, the type of person I am. You can never be prepared for something like this. To me, it was very traumatic. I know some girls who have C-sections, or they voluntarily want a C-section, and they don't have a problem with it, and it's fine for them. You know, I unfortunately wasn't able to even see my baby come out of me because the anesthesia guy, you know, I was knocked out. So I felt some type of way about that. So I literally cried like a few days. I'm like, all right, so I need to get all this crying out, because if I'm like trying to be one of those tough girls who act like nothing is wrong and this and that, that's gonna cause depression, and I can't be depressed, you know, like I don't have time, because I still went back to work, you guys. I took 6 weeks off, and I went back to my business. I went back to working out, and I had to take care of my baby. So I gave myself literally a few days to a week to feel any kind of emotion and cry it out, and I was fine. And honestly, like, If this happens to you, God forbid it does, I don't wish this on anyone, cry it out if you want to. Let it out, because if you don't, you're gonna keep it in and then you're gonna get depressed. From what I've heard, postpartum depression is not what you want, obviously. About the postpartum stage 4 stage, or no, they call it the trimester 4, right? Because you're pregnant for 3 trimesters. Trimester 4 is like your postpartum stage, when you lose the weight or whatever. My postpartum, my trimester 4 was not bad at all. I lost all my weight but 5 pounds when I was like active or whatever. And you know, after my baby, I did breastfeed, you guys, so that helped a lot. But yeah, you guys, my incision is very low underneath my bikini line. You can't even see anything. My body literally went back to how it was, and so that was fine for me. You know, there's this big stigma on C-sections where like, oh, your body's gonna be messed up or this, that, and the third. And no, my body went back to how it was, and I was kind of like in a stage where I'm like, oh my goodness, like this happened to me, like what the heck, whatever. But there's so many women who have to have C-sections and they don't talk about it, and I feel like they should, especially the celebrities. There's so many celebrities who have had C-sections and who had planned for like a home birth, water birth, who were at a hospital, who had to have a C-section. So it is very common, and it's okay, and it's normal. So yeah, that was my labor and delivery emergency C-section story time, you guys. It was traumatic for me. I've heard other people's and theirs was similar or even worse, but you know, my story is my story, and to me it was long and dramatic for me, and I just felt the need to speak upon it because, you know, hopefully like this will help somebody, like if they are going through a depression about how they deliver their baby to the world, or if they plan on having a different birth than an emergency C-section. If they felt alone, whatever, you're not alone. It's very common, you guys, and C-sections need to be spoken more about. So hopefully my video has helped you not feel alone, and hopefully you know, like your trimester 4 is going great for you, and your baby is healthy, and like you guys are happy. And yeah, that was my story time on my labor and delivery story. Finally, I'm speaking upon it. I just been really busy with life, y'all. Like life has taken a toll, like, and I'm a new mama. So yeah, you guys, thank you for watching my video. Any of you girls who have been following my whole journey since last year, shout out to y'all. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.